Good morning, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about few important timer related examples. So, I asked you to try one concept. Have you tried? Able to do that? So, that means I asked you to try about how to display salutation in a application and how to display the time ticking. So, generally for salutation, time ticking, what we do is based on the condition we display the message, and timer event we have to use set interval. So every second time must print. If every second time must print, that means you need to write a function where you create a new date every time. That function should execute every 1000 milliseconds. You need to try this, right? So later we will use in different examples. So now today, one more we need to understand about touch events. Actually, touch events are same like mouse events, but you can't try them until or unless you have a touch screen device. These are mostly used for mobile development. Actually, we use React for mobile development also. So React is used as a front-end UI for mobile apps. Remember, we cannot build mobile apps using React. Already in the introduction, I told you, can you build a web application using React? No, it is only to build the UI, interactive UI. So mobile apps, we cannot build with React. Mobile apps are built with Android iOS. So you need separate languages for them. But for those languages also, UI can be built in React. And there, these touch events will play the key role. At the end, I will show you how a mobile app is created. Mobile app means mobile interface is created. There you will understand how to deal with that. But generally, touch events you can't practice until or unless you are using a touch screen device. Even you write, you can't test them, right? So what are these touch events we are having? Actually, JavaScript touch events are same synthetic events. We have on touch start. We have on touch end. We have on touch move. These are the touch events. On touch start, on touch end, on touch move. These are the touch events. So these, as I told you, we cannot use until or unless we have touch screen, but just an example I will show here. So here we have some image source. It is some iPhone. We have some green dot JPG. So width is 200. Height is 300. Now we have an image here. Some iPhone green. Yeah. Now we are having another image. Let's say iPhone black JPG. Okay, two images we are having. Now, actually what I want is when user touch the image, it should show some information about that image. It should work on touch. So then what we do, let's put a constant message and set message. Use state and the message is what type? String. Now, next important here, we write two functions. So, or we write a function, get details. This get details is expecting some message. So some information like some message. Okay. And what we need to do is that message we will set in the set message is equal to message. So this get details function must be called when user touch this image. That means we have to use on touch start. On touch start, get details. But how to pass custom arguments into it? So we will write like a function. And this function has to pass the custom arguments. The custom message, the message we are giving here as suppose this is iPhone green. So 128 GB, something like this. And here we are defining some 65. So 00, something like this we define. That is the message we are sending. Now here also on touch start, same function will be called. What is the function? Get details. That means both images are pointing towards same, but this time it is iPhone black. Suppose it is 256 GB. And some price. Now you can see this message need to be displayed some below. I will keep in a heading. I want to display that MSG. MSG on touch start, we are displaying it. Now you can see this is the image. And through mouse, I am selecting or clicking something, nothing happening. Through mouse, I am clicking or selecting or dragging, nothing is happening. So I touch with my touch screen, then it should display. You need a touch screen device. You cannot practice this on your general monitors and all. I touch with my touch screen and it will get which one I am selecting. It is going to get and display those details. So that is usually done by touch events. These are mostly used for dealing with mobile apps. When you are building mobile apps, a lot of interactions we need to manage by using touch. These are JavaScript events only. JavaScript have touch events, and these touch events you can use as synthetic events in your React also. But to try them, you need some additional touch device, then you can handle that, right? So note here is touch events map to browser touch events that require a console enabled with touch. Console enabled with touch. So here their event arguments are little different. event arguments are little different. Means all event arguments are one style. Touch event arguments are a different style. For example, how to get x-axis, y-axis position, client X, client Y. They are the event arguments we are having. And how do we get the element related details? Element related details we have E dot target. So let's see touch event arguments. They look different actually. I will open the console. In the console, we want to pass the touch arguments. So we will pass the touch arguments here. How do we pass the touch arguments? To send event arguments, you need an E for event arguments. And here we will pass that E, message and E. We learned how to pass both custom arguments and default arguments. So here it is expecting E. And we will log that E, console.log and E. And you see now here, when I touch any element, you see the event argument is a synthetic event argument. And what is the React name for that? React name is what? On touch start. On touch start. And it is mapping to the JavaScript touch start. So, and you see that this event is having control key as a given. But observe carefully here, there is no client X, client Y. Here there is no client X, client Y directly. Suppose I want to get X-axis position, Y-axis position. Then there is no client X, client Y, because all touch events that all events that you have seen, they have client X, client Y to get the position of X and Y. But here we don't have. Here it looks different. Touch events look different. In touch events, actually, you have, so there is here target is image, and you have target touches, and there is a touches property. This touches property is having two index we are having. Actually, only one index it is having. What is that one index? 0. At 0, we have client X and client Y. Generally, other events directly they have, but this is having in touches of 0. Touches of 0. So how to get X-axis position, Y-axis position then? To get the X-axis and Y-axis position, here how do you write? E dot. Here it is not directly client X. Here it is present in what? Touches. Touches of what? 0. In that 0 we have client X. That means generally why you need X position, Y position, because through touch you can move an object from one place to another, drag and drop like. That means, for example, suppose you see that is touches. In touches we have 0. In that they are client X and client Y. So generally what we have to do is, for example, I want to design an image. So another image, suppose I given a site. A site is used for advertisements and all. And we will keep so a heading like iPhone. And here we have an image and /. So the / is src is suppose iPhone green dot jpg. Width is some 200, height also 200. So class as some border and border 2 and padding 3 and border primary. Okay, we are having some advertisement like here. So W is some, or simply I put style. Style width is suppose 200 like this. So that is the width we are having for that 200 pixel. Okay, 250 pixel. Now what we need to do is we want this in such a way that it can be movable, draggable through touch. That means I use my touch screen and pull it from one place to another. Then it should able to move with the help of touch, not with the help of mouse. So not with mouse. Last sessions we saw mouse movement. So, but this time through touch I should able to move it. Through touch we need to control this. So what I will do here is I will remove this style as of now for this. So here itself what we do, we will just write an functionality. The functionality is move add, and it requires an event argument. But this is related to on touch move. We have on touch move. We are using on touch move. That is move add. On touch move, it should use this move add. Now I need to create one style object. How to create a style object? Dynamically, we need to apply style object, and set style object is equal to use state. And this is an object which contains position as fixed, and which contains top we will decide later, and left also we will decide later. This also we will decide later. All these are present in the state. And we will use another property like width also we will use. We don't need width to control here. Okay. Now we are using this. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to apply this style object. We need to apply the style object to this advertisement. To the ad, we need to apply the style object. So if I don't give this border and all, or better, I will keep it less width. Okay, so here I will keep the width as 200 pixel. Okay, 250 right. Okay, now move add should set style object, in that it is expecting an object. And what is position? Position is what? Fixed. And left position is e dot touches of 0 dot what? Client x plus px pixels. Because this is a touch event have arguments in a different style. So we need to monitor that. So another one is what? Right? Top as e dot touches of 0 dot what? Client y plus pixels. And we have width. Width is always set to 200 pixel. Now this style object we need to apply to this add. That means to this add, we have to apply the style object. So style, it is coming from where? Style object. That means now this image, so should be able to move from one place to another. I am able to move that from one place to another. And this I am doing through my touch screen. That means through my touch screen, I am able to move that image from one place to another. Previously, we done by using mouse. Now, through touch, we can drag and drop where you want. So you have to need a touch device so to handle this. Same like mouse, but only one additional event arguments are present. So another point is touch event args for position are defined in touches property are defined in touches property. That means event dot what touches of 0. In that we have client X of 0. In that we have client Y, client X and client Y. So these you can practice through touch devices. Just one example I given how to use them in future when we are dealing with mobile interface. Like I'll give an example here. Let me copy this example. So this is the example here. So all are the events and all events you learned now. What are all the various events? I will give a summary of the events. So summary of event binding. In event binding concept, so you learned about how to deal with the events. And what are the event binding related events? So concepts we learned about mouse events, keyboard events, button events. So we have clipboard events. So we have form events, timer events, element state events, and we have touch events. These are different categories of events you have learned. I given one example on all these concepts. That is how we can deal with the events. Right. Next, after understanding events, in order to deal with interactions with the data and all, we need one more very important to know how to handle forms. After knowing the forms, we will use the APIs and we will learn how to use. Actually, now we will see a basic of API, how to get. Later, we will learn about how to post. So we will see the concept of handling APIs. So we will see one example of how we can handle the APIs. in React, how we handle them. So for that, first, if you are coming from the background of web development, already we know what is APIs. But for the people who are not aware of any API concept, I will just give a overview on that. First, to understand the concept of API, you need to know, to learn about API. First, you should know about the concept of, so what is distributed computing? What is distributed computing? To understand and to work with APIs, you should know first what is this distributed computing. Actually, software computing architectures, we have different types of computing architectures. We have different types of computing architectures. We have cluster computing. You have parallel computing. You have grid computing. You have distributed computing. You have cloud computing. These are all different computing architectures. In software technologies, we have different types of computing architectures. In different implementations, we use them. In different places, we use different kind of architecture. Some you never heard, that's not required at your level, but some you regularly hear about them, right? Grid computing, parallel computing, cluster computing, that's not your level of understanding. That's little more. So distributed and cloud, these are regular, actually, right? So now you need to understand what is this distributed computing. So what is the concept of distributed computing in order to deal with these APIs? Distributed computing is nothing but, actually, we have two devices we are having. So let's say one device is client and another device is a server. Now in one device, so here in the server device, we are having a server app. We are having a server app. And on client device, we are having a client app. So we are having two apps running on two different devices. And these apps can share information between them. They can communicate. They can communicate. So that means the concept here is, so as I showed here, yeah, two applications. So we have one app and we have another app. And this is what server and this is what client. A client app can communicate with server app. So the server app communicates with the client app. So two applications running on two different devices, two different machines, they can share information. They can communicate with each other. This is called distributed computing. Distributed computing allows two applications running on two different devices to communicate. For example, you are having YouTube. You can watch YouTube in a browser. In your mobile, you can open YouTube in a browser. In mobiles, you have browsers. There www.youtube.com you can open. You have a separate YouTube app also. Instead of browser, you can watch directly through that YouTube app. What is difference between watching YouTube in a browser and watching YouTube in a YouTube app? This YouTube app will provide some features which keeps your data offline also. Do you know in your YouTube app, you can download videos and watch later? That you cannot do when you are watching on a browser. If you are using an app to communicate with the server instead of browser URLs, then it is a distributed app. So if I ask you name some mobile apps that you have in your mobile, then Swiggy, Zomato, Skype, or WhatsApp, these are all not mobile apps. They are all distributed apps. All they are distributed applications. If you are not connected with internet, will your Amazon app work? No, but it has some data offline. It keep you signed in. It will keep some data offline, but it cannot get the latest details. That means two applications running on two different machines can communicate with each other. This is called as what? Distributed computing. Distributed computing. Not only that, we have one machine. In one machine, we are having one app and we are having another app. These two apps can communicate with each other. Those two apps can communicate with each other. That means in one device, two apps can communicate with each other. This is also called as distributed computing. For example, do you know you open some Make My Trip in your mobile? Flight tickets, bus tickets, train tickets, something. Close Make My Trip. And now go to Facebook or YouTube. Suddenly you will see an advertisement for that in YouTube. Have you observed? How YouTube knows what you done in Make My Trip? How YouTube knows what you done in Make My Trip? That means in your mobile, that is not safety. I'm not sure about Android, but in iOS, when you install an app, it will ask, do you want this app to share data with other apps? It will ask. You can block it so that your app will not share data with other apps. For example, you are using a bank app. Bank asks OTP. OTP is sent to your SMS app. That means SMS app contain OTP. What bank app can do? It can read that OTP and use that OTP. How a bank app is able to access OTP from another message app? That means there is communication between two apps. This is all the concept of what? Distributed computing. You may be Java, .NET learner or PHP, Python. Everywhere you have to learn this distributed architecture. You need to learn how to build distributed applications. The current generation, for example, Netflix, Amazon, there are two types. They have web applications, they have distributed applications. You can open in browser, then they are called as web application. You can open in their specialized apps, then they are called as what? Distributed application. So what is distributed computing? So distributed computing allows communication between allows communication between two applications running on two different machines. Communication between two applications running on two different machines. Distributed computing allows communication between two applications running on two different machines. It also allows communication between two different objects running in two different process of same machine. It also allows communication between two different objects running in two different process of same machine. This is called distributed computing. Whatever majority apps that you are using on your mobile which needs internet connection, they are all called as what? Distributed apps. So Amazon is not a mobile app. Amazon is a distributed app. Swiggy, Zomato, WhatsApp, these are all not mobile apps. These are all distributed apps. Mobile app means what? Calculator, calendar, phone book, gallery. That means you installed some app on mobile and it can work without any internet connection. Then it is not distributed. It is what? Mobile. So distributed application allows communication between two different apps in two different machines or two different apps on same machine. That is the concept of distributed computing. And next important you should know is what are the various distributed computing technologies. What are the various distributed computing technologies? In our real-time project development, what are the different distributed computing technologies that we use? Actually, we have so many distributed computing technologies. One is we have Corba. So we generally call it as common object request broken architecture. Corba, common object request broken architecture. So this is used in 14 languages. Almost 14 different languages use this Corba. RMI, we have remote method invocation. It is used by J2EE, EJB, enterprise Java Beans. It is used by Java. DCOM, distribute component object model. Object model. It is used in languages like Visual Basic. We have web services. So it is used in all technologies. All technologies like, so we have like C++, Java, PHP, C#, right? I will give just Java, PHP, all other Python. All of them use web service. Remoting, it specialized for .NET. These are all distributed computing technologies. There are various distributed technologies. Different technologies use different. Java people build distributed apps using a technology called EJB, Enterprise Java Beans. It is used for building distributed apps in Java. .NET people use a remoting architecture for building distributed apps. To build distributed apps, they need a remoting architecture, remoting library. RMI, Corba, DCOM, and web service is very popular. Web service is known to all technologies. Every technology uses this web service. Java, .NET, PHP, Python, everybody uses web service. The most popularly used distributed technology is web service. Web service is most popularly used. So what is this? What is the intention? I will tell you. What is the concept of this? I will tell you. For example, just I will show you a concept here. Yeah. These are various computing architectures. We have different computing architectures: distributed, parallel, cluster, cloud, grid computing. Every computing architecture have a different uh, implementation process. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is a service which provides platform as service, software as service. It is a service. Cloud computing is not about storing data on cloud. That means not like Google Drive and all. It's a part of that. Cloud is a very big service. It provides platform as services, software as services. It's a big concept. Distributed computing is this. Actually, distributed computing architecture. So distributed computing allows communication between two applications running in two different machines, and communication between two objects running in two different processes. And these are different computing technologies. We have Corba, DCOM, RMI, EJB, web service, remoting. So Corba is Common Object Request Broken Architecture, invented by OMG Group. It is used in more than 14 languages. And you have a DCOM, Distribute Component Object Model. And we have an RMI, Remote Method Invocation. We have EJB, Enterprise Java Beans. We have web services. This is known to all technologies. And remoting, this is related to .NET. There are different distributed computing architectures. Now the question is, what is these technologies aim? That means what is the aim? What is the concept of this? What is the main purpose of this? So what is the concept of this distributed architecture? What is the main aim of this architecture? Let's see. What is the aim of this architecture is nothing but generally what happens is usually we will have a database. Generally our software applications they need some data. Actually, this database is kept on some database server. Generally, we have data centers, data center or data servers. In the data center, we usually have some database. We may have different databases to store the data. Like we use various databases like what Oracle, MySQL, like SQL Server. So MongoDB, different databases will be there. Different databases will be there. Now this data have to reach the client. And what is the key point is client may be using different devices. So client may be using different devices. For example, client is using a mobile, client is using a PC, or client is using a, suppose it is a smart watch. That means he is using a smart watch. Now what I want to do is I want this data to reach everywhere. I want this data to reach everywhere. That means, for example, take a best example of weather. Current weather in your city. You open laptop or desktop, you can see the weather forecast of your current city. You open mobile, in mobile also the same weather forecast. It is even available in a smartwatch. Am I right? PC is a good bandwidth device. Mobiles have less bandwidth. Watch have very less bandwidth. How a data can reach everywhere? That means mobile is using Android iOS. PC is using Windows, Linux, Mac. Watch is using what your smartwatch's operating system is? Don't know, but you have a smartwatch. What is your smartwatch operating system? Don't know. It uses a Google Wear OS. Google's Wear OS is used for Android watches. Android watches use a Google Wear OS. That is the OS they use for Android watches. Apple have Apple OS. That means we need data in such a way that it should reach every device, every operating system. That means data must reach every device, every operating system. Then how to convert data in such format? So that is the main aim. That means how data can reach everywhere. Then what our developers will do? Our developers will write a business logic. Our developers will write a business logic. What this business logic will do is, this business logic is responsible for communicating with the database in the backend. It gets the data from the database and it will convert the data in such a way that data is understandable to every device. It is understandable to every device. And for that, what the business logic uses? It uses distributed architecture. By using distributed architecture, it handles communication between client and data. That means it will get the data and it will convert the data in such a way that it will be easily understandable to every device and every operating system. Now, which distributed architecture currently people are using? Means which distributed architecture our companies are using? Earlier, we used to use web service very much. Even today, several companies will ask that if you are a senior experienced Java, .NET, PHP, Python developer, then they will ask knowledge in web service. Otherwise, you can't. Every Java, .NET, PHP, Python developer must have knowledge on web services. Almost every web application asks knowledge on web service. Otherwise, they can't take you because their already projects are working on web service. Now, latest we are using APIs. So now the point is, earlier, which one is very popularly used? Web service. Not only web service, as I showed you, Corba is used, DCOM is used, RMI is used in different places, but web service is universal. Every technology knows about web service. Everybody was using this web service. What is the concept of web service? It designs a business logic in such a way which will handle communication from the client, goes to the data, gets the data, converts the data in a format which is understandable to all device. And to convert which data format is understandable to all device, the business logic converts the data into XML and JSON. It is going to convert the data into XML and JSON. And when data is converted to XML and JSON, then it is understandable to every device. That means actually data is present in which format? Data is in an object form. This object form data, which is in a binary object form data, which is converted into XML and JSON. XML and JSON, then it is understandable to every device and every operating system. That is the main aim of a web service. That is the main aim of distributed computing. Means how we can convert the data in such a way that it is understandable to every device. It can reach every device. You are currently watching your weather report on watch and mobile and PC. That is because of distributed computing. So you see here, means we will learn so many things, but what is the popularly used one? Web service. But currently we are not using web service. Earlier we used to use lot of web service. So currently we are not using much web service. Why we are not using is, what is the popular distributed technology? What is the popular distributed technology for web applications? What is the popular distributed technology for web applications? The answer is web service. Web service is the popular distributed technology for web application. If any technology is building a web application, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, all these, they have to use what? Web service. And as a senior, if you put 2-3 years experience as a web developer, they mandatorily ask knowledge on web service. But we have problem with web service. Now the question is, what are the issues with web service? We have some problems with web service. What are the problems in web service? Some important problems with web services. It can run only on HTTP. It can run only on HTTP. HTTP itself is a protocol. It can run only on HTTP. Actually, network means there are other protocols also. We have FTP, TCP, IP. So we have different types of protocols. So, but web service can run only on HTTP. That means you cannot use on intranet. You can use only on internet. We have issues with intranet. That means it cannot run other than HTTP. It can run only on HTTP. And it can be hosted only on web server. It can be hosted only on web server. And another important is it provides data in XML format. It provides data in XML format. That means the primary communication is XML format. It can run only on HTTP. It can be hosted only on web servers. It provides data in XML format. These are the problems with web service. These are the issues with web service. That is the reason to overcome these issues, So what is the solution? Or you can say, what is alternative for web service? What is alternative for web service? The alternative for web service is API. That is application programming interface. API, application programming interface. So what is this application programming interface? So what is API? What is this application programming interface? What is the concept? First thing you should know, what is API? It is a distributed computing architecture. API is a distributed computing architecture. It configures business logic. It configures business logic. Programming interface, that means it provides a business logic. And what is the specialty of this business logic? It configures business logic which provides data across various devices and OS services, operating system services. That means it can work, data can be provided across various devices and various operating system services. So what is the aim of API? The aim of API to make the data reachable to any device, to make the data reachable to any operating system. Any operating system can read the data and present the data. Any device can read the data and present the data. That means even devices with lightweight, less bandwidth also can use your data. That is the intention of the API. So technically, the concept of API actually, these all other details not required to you. So this is the main aim of API. This is the main concept of API. That is the main primary aim of API. So we have a database where the data is kept. We write a business logic. This business logic will convert the data in such a way that it is understandable to everybody. Any browser can understand, any device can understand, any operating system can understand. Actually, API, application programming interface. Before this API, we were using a lot of web service. Every technology was dependent on web service. But now we are migrating from web services to APIs. The world's first API was eBay. eBay is a shopping site. It is the world's first API. That means the first distributed app we used in our technologies is eBay. eBay, even today, it is so lightweight that you have phone pay, Paytm. Am I right? Do you know in your phone pay, Paytm, you have shopping. Phone pay, Paytm, you have shopping. That means you can shop for products because you will have some points, and phone pay, Paytm sends you some offers. They send you some gift cards, coupons. What you can do is you can directly open a shopping app from that shopping is powered by eBay. Even Amazon and even Flipkart shopping, online shopping, they use eBay as an architecture. That means imagine phone pay, Paytm itself is an app. In that app, another app is running. Then imagine how much lightweight it is. How perfect, how lightweight it is that it is running in another app. So eBay is the first important app. eBay is the first important app. Actually, this is the generation of APIs. This is the generation of APIs. This is the API generation. That means several years of APIs. Now we have millions of APIs. Right? This in early 2010, when we were teaching people on .NET technologies, I prepared this presentation. After that, I stopped it. That's the reason this is showing up to only 2010. That means 15, 16 years back, I was working for Microsoft and I was working on .NET technology. And my job is train the developers to get certification on .NET for Microsoft. So we are specialized in training the trainers. We train the trainers, trainer will train the developers. Our job is to train the trainers to give certifications. In Microsoft and HP, more than 10 years, I worked on .NET technology. At that time, we prepared these presentations to train the people on web services and API. It is way back so many. So I just stopped that presentation there. So it is showing up to 2010 because at that time, what were latest, I showed there. This presentation is a very old presentation. So it is almost 15 years back. We are the people who introduced API training in Hyderabad area. So the first people to introduce the APIs to the developers. So that means 15 years back, that is. So on .NET technology, so we started training people on APIs, web APIs and all. That's a long back. And the point here is, so now they are very popular and now they are the primary. Earlier we used to depend on a lot of web services. Now this API. So we have millions of APIs now. This is just at that time, it was just a starting generation of APIs. We can count on fingers how many APIs are there. But now we have millions of APIs. So now the point is here, how these APIs communicate. What is the communication medium? Means what is the specialty of API? What is the specialty of API when compared to web service? So what is the specialty of API when compared to this is, so it can run on any protocol. It can run on any protocol. It can be hosted on any local server. You don't need just a web server. Hosted on local server or file system. You can even host on a file system. So it provides REST with JSON as the primary communication. What is this? I will tell you. These are all the features of APIs. These are all the features of API. Actually, different technologies have a different generation. Actually. So for generally .NET like technology people, earlier they used to have web service, after that WCF service, after that web API. So this generation is there. For other technology people, so this is not there. For Java people, it is not there. So for Java people, it is web service and the APIs. But for .NET like people, they used web service. After that, they migrated to WCF services. After that, they migrated to APIs. They have a long process actually. Java people directly from web service to APIs. Java, PHP, Python, all these people directly from there. Now the point is how the communication happens. That means what is the communication specification? So next important, what are the communication specifications? What are the communication specifications? Communication specification. What are the communication specification means? How two apps communicate with each other. What is the communication medium? Actually, there are three specifications. One is SOAP, another one is REST, another one is JSON. There are three communication specifications. SOAP, REST, and JSON. How two apps communicate with each other? How two apps communicate with each other? How they deal with each other? So actually, so two apps communicate with each other. That means we have like what? SOAP. So what is SOAP is? SOAP is service oriented architecture protocol. Service oriented architecture protocol. What is SOAP here is, here consumer will make an XML request. Consumer will make an XML request. That means, for example, I have a product and in that product, I want a product and this product have a, this is product have a category. Yeah. Product have a category. This product category is electronics category like this. That means what is the client requirement? Client requirement is consumer is client. Client wants the products whose category is electronics. That means the request from client will be in XML form and provider will give an XML response. That means the request and response will be in which format? XML form. That means it will give products. In that products, we have a product. In that product, we have a name TV. So, and we have some price. And this is one product. And it belongs to which category? Electronics. It belongs to electronics category. That is how it will return a product. Like this, it will return several other products that belong to same category. This is how XML responds. That means it will get the collection of all electronic products. This is how XML looks like. So what is the primary communication here is the client will make a XML request and server will send an XML response. The request and response will be in the format of XML. Request and response in XML format. Right. Now, this is the concept of SOAP. We have another mechanism. What is another mechanism is REST. Another mechanism is REST. In REST, actually, representational state transfer. State transfer. REST is representational state transfer. What is this representational state transfer? What is this REST? Actually, in REST, consumer sends a simple query request. Consumer will send a simple query request. Consumer is going to send a simple query request. Sends a simple query request. It sends a simple query request. Actually, request will be like this. http://server.com and slash some category. Here we say some shop. In that category is equal to electronics. Like this. The request will be in a simple query. The request will be in a simple query. And provider sends XML and JSON as response. It provides XML and JSON as response. That means the response will be in XML form or it will be in JSON form. The request will be in a simple query and the response will be in XML or JSON. Actually, how JSON requests XML above I already given. JSON will be like an array of objects. Like we have name as what TV. We have like price as what some price. We have like category. Category is what electronics. Just roughly I'm giving. So like this, you have the data. Like this, you have other details. All the results of products whose category is electronics. That is how the communication happens. Now we are not using SOAP anymore. Earlier we used to use a lot of SOAP requests. So in the beginning of these APIs communication, web service communication, we used to depend on a lot of SOAP. But now we are not using SOAP. We are majority using what? REST. People call it as RESTful services. RESTful. That means the query will be simple. The response will be in XML or JSON format. So we have another one. Another one is what? JSON. JSON is JavaScript object notation. In future, people use this very much. Currently also people are using very much, but majority people are using RESTful. Now this is the future. Here consumer sends sends a JSON request and provider sends a JSON response. JSON already you know, so I am not giving an example. That means the request and response will be in the format of what? JSON. That means the consumer sends a JSON request and the provider will provide a JSON response. The communication will be in the JSON format. JSON format, right? And you see here the communication, how the communication specification happens. We have three specifications: SOAP, REST, and JSON. In SOAP, what happens? SOAP uses different languages, WSDL, UDDI, and all. In SOAP, the consumer will make an XML request and provider will send an XML response. The request and response will be in the format of XML. And in REST, representational state transfer, the request will be in a simple query form and the response will be in XML or JSON. And in JSON, the request and response will be in the format of JSON. These are the communication techniques, how it communicates. And currently APIs are using majority of what? REST. RESTful. And what is this REST? It is a medium of communication. Means what is API and what is REST? Understood? What is API? API provides a business logic that allows communication with the database, get the data from the database and provide the data in such a way that it is understandable to every device and every operating system. Right? And how the communication happens in API? Communication in API happens using three mechanisms. One is REST, another SOAP, another one JSON. Majority now we are using all REST. Now we will learn how to communicate with a API. Later I will teach you how to create our own APIs. We will create a project where we will learn our own API. We will design. But first we will learn how to use ready-made APIs. Ready-made, some APIs freely available, we can try them. We can access them, we can use them, and we can build an interface using those APIs. We will see how to use the API. Remember, API data is everywhere. For example, you are designing a login form. In a login form, you need a CAPTCHA. You know, CAPTCHAs are there. What is CAPTCHA? CAPTCHA is a service. CAPTCHA is a service. That means all web technologies now completely depend on a lot of services. And what is a service, how this service works, how we consume the services, we will see that. That we'll see in next session. So tomorrow we are going to practically implement this. We will learn some APIs, how to use them, how weathers work, weather APIs that you can try. I will give another API examples. We will see various type of APIs, how to deal with them, right? Tomorrow we'll continue, right?